Welcome to Red Eye. It's like steel magnolias, if by magnolias you mean underpants. Let's go to TV's Andy Levy for our pregame report. So, Andy, what's coming up on tonight's show?
Thanks, Greg. Coming up on the big show, are George W. Bush and Kanye West now BFFs? Our all-star panel will struggle to make it through this story without saying, I'm going to let you finish. Plus, we'll discuss Maureen Dowd's latest column so that you, the viewers, don't have to read it. You're welcome, you, the viewers. And finally, cameras in Barbie dolls. Some say this is a great idea, but others say that some who say this is a great idea are probably on a registry somewhere. Greg?
Thank you, Andy.
Away, you bottle ale rascal. Away, thou issue of a mangy dog.
A paltry, insolent fellow. Go hang yourselves, all you are idle, shallow things. I'm not of your element.
I apologize for nothing.
I embrace your suffering with utmost glee. Go away. Let's welcome our guest. It's my favorite part of the night. I'm here tonight with Imogen Lloyd Webber, 3 names, author of the Single Girl Survival Guide. She's so hot that spontaneous combustion is now called spontaneous Imogen Lloyd Webber. Terrible. Andrew Breitbart, there he is with the beard. Big Hollywood, big government, and big journalism publisher. He knows controversies like I know football jerseys. It's what I sleep in, just like the girls on Three's Company. My repulsive sidekick, Bill Schultz. He thinks gummy bears are toothless, hairy guys he meets in Chelsea. And sitting right next to me, Jedediah Bila, author and conservative political commentator. She's so adorable that Strawberry Shortcake owns a Jedediah Bila pencil case. Yeah, that was long. His dreams have been broken because the voters have spoken. It's our New York Times correspondent.
Due to some recent cutbacks, we have neglected to publish a Thursday issue of the Paper of Record, Greg. As for why my disembodied voice remains, well, that's a mystery, isn't it?
It is.
Pinch, wherever you are.
You are getting old.
That is awful.
You do have an incontinence problem.
Pinch.
It's called Frank Rich.
You know, when he's in the bathroom, he reads himself.
Yes. Okay. He was a race-baiting bigot who called Bush. No, he was a race-baiting spigot who called Bush a bigot. That might have worked. He was the scourge of George, but now Kanye is sorry-yay. In an interview to be aired next week, former President George W. Bush tells the Today Show's aging marmoset, Matt Lauer, that Kanye West saying, quote, George Bush doesn't care about black people was one of the most disgusting moments in his presidency. W says of W-E-S-T, he called me a racist. I didn't appreciate it then. I don't appreciate it now. It's one thing to say I don't appreciate the way he's handled his business. It's another thing to say this man's a racist. I resent it. It's not true. And now the world's greatest interrupter has responded. On Wednesday, West called into Houston hip-hop station 97.1, The Box, nice, my favorite, and was asked about how he felt about what Bush said. Listen up, people who always want to listen up.
I definitely can understand the way he feels to be accused of being a racist in any way, because I the same thing happened to me, where I got accused of being racist. And with his, it was a lack of, with both situations, it was basically a lack of compassion that America saw in that situation. With him, it was a lack of compassion, with him not rushing, him not taking the time to rush down to New Orleans. With me, it was a lack of compassion of, cutting someone off in their moment.
Right.
But nonetheless, I think we're all quick to pull like a race card in America. And now I'm more open, and the poetic justice that I feel to have went through the same thing that he went, and now I really more connect with him on a humanitarian level.
Hooray! Hooray, hooray, hooray. Bill, as an African-American, does Kanye West's statement make you hate white people less?
Well, white people are crackers, because they are two different things, Greg.
Yes.
You are the latter. I like what Kanye said, if someone could tell me what Kanye said. What in the hell was that? That was the most convoluted, circular, on a humanitarian level, I had no idea what he was saying. Is he a lyricist?
He was saying, I was victimized the way he victimized Bush, so I have learned something. I don't know. Jedediah, isn't this the most beautiful thing you've ever heard?
I never thought the day would come when Kanye West would want to bond with President Bush. But let me say, I find this side of President Bush kind of endearing in a way. And the reason is he was so honorable during his presidency. He didn't engage the media. He didn't want any part of that, unlike President Obama, who takes every opportunity to stab Fox News. So I kind of want to hear what he has to say in a new and different light. So I kind of appreciate it.
There's a renaissance going on, and it's called G.W. Bush. We'll be right back. Oh, wait. We just started. Hey, Andrew, why now? Why now did Kanye West come out and say this?
Well, it's because it was directed at me, and I accept Kanye West's apology. I want to grant him his humanitarian status. I accept his apology for what he did to Taylor Swift, and I appreciate greatly what he has just done to grant me absolution myself.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
Racist.
Imogen, you know, Kanye West has a new album. It's coming out. It's about to drop. That's what the young
Nice.
people say.
It is.
Yeah. Could this have anything to do with that? Is this to show America that he has a new attitude about life?
Well, yeah, if you're talking about that, then what are Bush's publishers doing with Bush bringing this up right now?
Yeah, that's true.
Fundamentally, though, I want my politicians to have gravitas. Last week on Cavuto, he asked me about the GQ boys who are currently running the UK, Clegg and Cameron. And it's right, they are the GQ boys. And I want to talk about somebody like Thatcher, who is a conviction politician. And not only she would never have heard of someone like Kanye West, but she wouldn't care what somebody like Kanye West said. I think that's important.
But the only thing is, what was happening during the hurricane, it was a big deal. Kanye West basically said in a massively live on every network show, said, you don't care about black people. That's why it was huge. That was huge. Andrew's waving at me. Yes, Andrew?
No, I just wanted to say that he said something actually important in there. He says that the race card is thrown around too easily, and I think that when Kanye West and Jon Stewart, who did a similar piece called "The Race Card Has Been Overused," is that is the great benefit of the Barack Obama administration, is that the race card has simply been used too many times where people use it simply as a political cudgel, and I think he's basically admitting it here. I think we need to get past that point for whenever somebody trips up, says something that seems like maybe that they could get a political point from it, we have to not, judge people and say this person is 100% a racist. It's too convenient an argument, and it gets into these type of things where it gets into a tit for tat.
Well, you know what? The problem is we call it the race card. Race card, like everyone has cards. Here's a card. There's a card. They're easy to pass out, Greg.
Yes, they
We
are.
need to call it like a race brick.
Yes.
Or something that requires effort to lift and throw at somebody.
And if you really want to, if you really mean it, you would throw it through a window of somebody's shop.
Right, exactly.
That's
and if you're accusing me of doing anything of that nature last night, you're absolutely wrong.
Yes,
and I will
know.
not apologize to Macy's because I was not there.
But here's a question. I mean, why didn't Kanye do this while he was president? I guess it took a long time to educate himself.
Perhaps it took him a while to process that whole thing.
I just hope it's a microcosm of things to happen. And I know I use microcosm incorrectly, a sign of things to happen, that perhaps there is an end to this race card business with Kanye West is saying something like this.
Yeah, I hope.
Or maybe I'm just desperate for this. Maybe I need to hear that. That's why I'm like making a big deal out of it.
Maybe.
Smoke
Racism
bricks
is
of
a-
marijuana. Don't throw
But,
race
I mean,
bricks.
the thing about Kanye West is that I took that he was talking about this because of what happened with Taylor Swift. And this is so
True.
much more offensive.
That is
Again,
true. Yes.
it's just, it beggars belief, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And also, no one called him a racist about Taylor Swift. They called him an a-hole.
Yes.
He misheard them.
Yeah,
no one called him.
yeah, that's true. And the fact that he did make it about himself was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
to the Gregolog, it's a cupcake of coherence in a bakery of baloney. So, true to character, Maureen Dowd weighed in on the election and splattered it with wrongness. She says the vote wasn't about Obama, but about gullible voters. She writes that Republicans, quote, were able to persuade Americans that the couple in the White House was not American enough, not quite normal, too communist, too radical, too great society. Wait, you forgot too Muslim and too Kenyan. Anyway, she missed the point of the election, and so did Obama. He spoke today, and I paraphrase because I'm lazy. America wants us to act, not to stand still. Okay, maybe it's me. I think it's the reverse. I think Americans don't want him to act and would like him to stand still. Here's why. President Obama is the most successful progressive politician ever. He passed health care reform, which Clinton couldn't even do. He got 2 lefty judges on the Supreme Court. He got a pile of other left-wingers appointed, calling them czars. He passed the stimulus and nearly got cap and trade through. My point is there were no roadblocks, no gridlock, because there were no Republicans. Back in 2008, that party was more damaged than Charlie Sheen's septum. Obama was the running back with the ball and nothing but daylight. But what he didn't expect were the folks in the stands rushing the field. The Republicans didn't galvanize the public. The public galvanized the Republicans. So Mo and O are wrong-o. It's good that the Prez calls for consensus, but he should be making peace with the Repubs. He should try those crazy voters instead. And right now, they aren't cheering him down the field. They want him to punt. So hope he listens. Let's hope he listens for once. And if you disagree with me, you're a racist, homophobic, gridlockophobic. Imogen, how much, say between 90 and 99% of my Gregolog do you agree with?
Actually, an awful lot.
Oh, really?
No, I really do. I mean, Americans did vote for standing still in the midterms, and they often do. I vividly remember, I mean, I'm an outsider to all this, but I was learning history and American political history at Cambridge University. Remember, the first thing my professor ever said to me about American history, and the first thing was that presidents tend to lose Congress at some point, and the second thing was that presidents came out, tried to do their domestic policy early on, up front, then had to give up and go away and do foreign policy. What has happened is absolutely textbook. Obama is off to India for 10 days on Saturday.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
India is a country.
India is a country.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I just wanted to make that clear. Bill, are we Americans just too stupid to embrace the beauty of Mr. Perfect?
I didn't even understand that. And I'm an American. Here's the problem with Maureen Dowd is that she works for a liberal paper. She's white and a boomer. But unfortunately, she's also right. I mean, it doesn't go over well around here, but she's right. I mean, the fact of the matter is Obama had to engage his critics, and he didn't. He thought it was beneath himself to actually go on air and say, hey, guess what, I'm not a socialist. He thought it was beneath himself to go on air and say, I really am a practicing Christian.
But the thing is, it was the people. It was the people that he needed to convince. And wasn't he out there all the time?
He had to say it.
He was out there all the time.
People talk about jobs, but no one wants to talk about all the jobs he saved, and he has saved millions.
All right.
But that's not sexy.
But Jedediah, okay, the job saved thing, no one can ever, how can you prove a saved job?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that's why he likes to sort of say stuff that can't be proven. Let me say two things about Maureen Dowd. Number one, I am tired of people on the left like Maureen Dowd and like Bill Maher condescending to Americans and saying, you're not smart enough. Stop insulting the American people. That's my point number one. Number two, she sort of tries to compare this to 1994. Yes, there were huge victories in 1994, but this is a different time. We have a Tea Party now. This is not a victory for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
This is a victory for average Americans who got off their behinds and said, enough is enough. I don't want this anymore. So this is a completely different type of
They got off their butts and they put on their tricorn hats. I think that's what they're called. Hey, Andrew, is the Obama administration over, and should he resign tomorrow?
Well, I don't think it's over. I think he says he's going to do everything he can to circumvent the checks and balances that's been imposed on him. But I want to get back to Maureen Dowd. To use a Maureen Dowd type quote where she tries to sound like she's really smart, the zeitgeist of this election is in essence a rejection of Maureen Dowd and her elitism and her sneering, her perpetual sneer on the American people. The American people reject that right now. The American people want to pull up their sleeves, pull up their bootstraps and get to work. And she's only known for going to work and doing better than exactly what Gawker does every day. Look down on anybody that is productive in their daily lives.
I got to say that I want to also bring in this point before we move on. I think that this election had such a dramatic effect on a lot of people that they find ways to explain it. The thing that drives me crazy is talking about personality rather than policy. We talked about that when Obama was elected, that it was about a smart, brilliant, articulate guy, etc., not the policies.
Effete, elitist, all those things I don't like.
But I mean, you know what I mean? It was like they weren't talking about policies. And now, when he's lost, they're still talking about disliking a personality, not the policies. I want to show you a bit of tape. This is to show you how the elections have destroyed the minds of some people. This is Carl Frisch. He's at Media Matters. This is him describing the results.